But yeah, no. So yeah, what
Yeah.
happens? I guess after the Paris trip.
Yeah, so Paris, yeah, I ended up winning in Paris. The trip was a lot of fun. It was dope chilling with all of those guys. 2019 comes. I wasn't sure if I was gonna do it again, but I ended up being. I don't know if Vice convinced me or what, but I ended up doing it again. And this time I was just like, this is gonna be my final performance. I'm like,
Wait, did
if
you
I do,
mention if you won in Paris?
yeah, I won in
Mm.
2018 in
You
Paris.
won
I
him.
won.
You two-time back to back,
Yeah, two
which was
time.
the
Yeah,
other thing
yeah,
that I had heard
yeah,
about you before we ever met was just like, yo, he back to back, and Jess is like talking about
yeah,
you like, yo, this kid's the future. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
and
Good luck,
and,
man.
and it's just again the lore is growing. You know what I'm saying? Like with
Yeah,
all
yeah,
these
yeah.
feats and all these acts. So
Good
you
looking.
won in Paris, and then
Yeah,
maybe Vice versus convinces you. Let's just put it there because that actually
yeah,
makes
yeah,
the lore even better, right?
yeah.
Vice
Where?
convinces you, right?
Yeah,
And you come back for the third year for the
yeah.
three-peat. Uh-huh.
hmm
Walk us
And
through.
so, and so, because this is my last year, because I'm like, I'm not gonna do it anymore after this. I'm just like, all right, I gotta raise the bar again, because like, all right, so what am I gonna do to raise the bar again? And I basically landed on the idea that I was gonna. So in 2018, during the grab bag round, G bag from the UK, he had done his grab bag blindfolded, and I was like, oh yeah, that's dope. And I remembered in Takana in 2014 when I had done my research and watched some of the old videos, he had done it blindfolded, the grab bag as well. So I was like, all right, yeah, I could do that, but like, how can I expand on that? And so I came to the idea that I would do the whole competition blindfolded. That's basically, what I came to. I discussed it. I discussed it with some folks and, tried to figure out the semantics of it, how it really, the mechanics of it, figure out how I would really do it. Um, and I was really battling with myself, like, is this going to be like super gimmicky? Like, if I do it, it has to make sense and it can't be just, okay, he's rapping with his eyes closed. What would be different if his eyes was open? And so I just decided to do research on like what it was like to be blind, listen to a few podcasts about what it, different experiences that blind people have, watch a few YouTube videos. And so,
YouTube
and this is
University.
when
Shouts to YouTube
YouTube
University.
University,
Yo,
man.
I love YouTube University. I swear
Yo,
by
it
that
Yeah.
shit.
it,
Let me
it
tell you
changed
something.
my life.
You can learn. There's all these things that people criticize are really just tools, and people are really criticizing the people that they see and the things that they are searching out.
Hmm.
You're
Right.
not
Well
that
said.
you don't. Instagram doesn't have to be like I got homies that are like, oh man, Instagram is all ass, and I'm like, no, it's not, sir. My Instagram is not all ass because I don't go follow a bunch of chicks that are showing their
Yeah.
ass. You can't follow a bunch of the thing and then complain about the thing. That's just like, wait,
Right.
what? That doesn't make sense. This is clearly the
Right.
thing that you wanted in your feed, clogging up your feed. These are all tools. Your feed can be all real estate agents. Your feed can be
Hmm.
all health. Your feed can be all. It just depends on what you want to do. So like YouTube, like all these things is just like another tool, and like if used properly, like that shit is a fucking university, and you come out that bitch with a
Absolutely.
goddamn degree, a professional at things.
Facts.
Right. Fact.
And then YouTube is just structured in a way to make it more digestible and more on your in your control sphere, so you can learn on demand in a way that bypasses a lot of the institutions that want to gatekeep education and opportunity. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how many occupations
Facts.
honestly just require skill acquisition, which is where I think YouTube really focuses. So it teaches you how to get skills and knowledge relevant to your tasks so you can do your hustle.
Mm,
So it's shunned
well
because
said.
it's against the traditional university system, which is one hell of a cash cow for a lot of people.
Talk about it. Preach, Holden.
Facts.
That's just what
Facts.
it is. I'm into the I dropped out of university and did quite well, so Not to say university doesn't have a purpose, but I was in psychology, and I don't know if you like ever looked at the economics of psychology, but unless you go into teaching after, like you're basically gonna go into marketing or therapy or make no money. Like there's not a lot of choices in that field, so it's like I really thought a lot about it, and then said, fuck it, I'll learn about marketing. And then the internet came and fucked up all of traditional marketing. So traditional marketing makes no sense in the internet era, and there's no real courses anymore. It's just people who know how to make money online get hired, and that's how it works now. It's really weird to watch this transition play out. So YouTube University fucking real. Like there's something to it, and there's a lot of other places online that you can go after YouTube that just expand for no money.
Expand more, yeah.
And that's the crazy part.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
It's all free. Well,
but I mean, it's a great fucking beginner's guide to everything.
Everything.
You know what I mean? Like that's it might YouTube might fuck around and be, and we can end it here and keep on with the story, right? But it might end up. It might really be the fucking handbook to the guide to the galaxy.
You know what it is? It's the Rosetta Stone to everything.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
YouTube will it teaches you the jargon you need to learn whatever field it is, because YouTube's gonna have motherfuckers who break down all the basic language for you, and that's always the problem is jargon.
Yeah, YouTube. I think what you're talking about and what makes YouTube special and is just a reminder that everything is not always doom and gloom. Sometimes we have this perspective that like the world is all fucked up and people are just always trying to take advantage of people or manipulate. But the reason all that information exists is because there are people who want to teach people how to do things and want to inform people, right? And so it's just like the beauty of that, like the sharing. We all
want to. I was gonna say we all want to share our journeys with each other.
Right.
We all want our stories to be heard, so that we can all benefit each other, and that really is what the tapestry of humanity should be encompassed by.
I think we innately understand how a community thrives, and so we just, those of us who want to share. It's like, okay, this is gonna help somebody, and so this is gonna help the world in some way. So let me tell it to people.
Yeah.
All right, so
I was watching. Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
You know, I wanted to keep going. So you went to YouTube University to learn what it felt to be blind.
Right. Yeah. Also, Nipsey had just passed. I think the previous year he passed 2019. And we were actually at EOW when we found out that he passed. And I guess at some point I just decided I was going to do a tribute to him. And so what I did was. I decided I was going to be blindfolded every round, and I was going to tie blindness into everything that I was doing. And so for my first round, I bought the outfit that Nipsey had the day that he died, down to the socks and the sneakers with blue laces, because he has a song called Blue Laces.
I know. I'm very familiar. I love Nipsey.
Yeah. And so I did a rap about Nipsey's life, and in the verse I referenced every track on Victory Lap, and what I was doing in the story was I was talking about his journey as a young man moving through the streets and how he was able to defeat all of these things that were coming his way because he was special. And I used the Crip flag as the blindfold. And so I was like, even though he was blinded, not in a condescending way, but you kind of get what I'm saying. Like, even though he was blinded by the streets, he was still able to like fend off all of these enemies. Now, the enemies that I used were the 7 deadly sins. And then the other piece of it was, so I'm part of a crew, part of a dance crew. I rap, they dance, we do shows together. And what I learned about in the dance world is they have this thing called 7 to Smoke, where one dancer battles 7 dancers until there's a winner. And so I took the 7 deadly sins and I got 2 dancer friends to take part in it. And they wore shirts that had the 7 deadly sins on each shirt. And shout out to my students, because my students actually made the shirt. And so I played Nipsey Hussle with a toy gun. And every time one of the dancers would dance towards me, I would kill them with the gun while I was blindfolded. And I would kill a sin. And then they would go and change their shirt, and the other dancer would dance at me, and then I would kill them. I would shoot them or while I'm blindfolded. And then by the end of it, after I had killed off 6 of the sins, I finally take my blindfold off, and I'm like, I can see now because I'm Nipsey Hussle as he's successful and an adult. And then I get killed by Envy, and Envy was represented by my homie, who was it was like part of like this whole act. And so that's basically what I did. That's how I incorporated blindness in that one.
It's like
And then
just listening to you explain that performance is almost as hot as probably the performance was. Because, like, I mean, I want to go see it now. Like, what?
Yeah.
it was dope. It was a lot of fun to do, honestly.
That's one round.
And like I said, yeah, that was one round. Yeah. You know. And you know what was crazy? Back to the universe. When I went to Foot Locker the day before to buy the sneakers that Nipsey had on that day, when I walked out of the Foot Locker, there was a woman like 10 feet away from me up the block. As I walked towards her, I realized she has a Nipsey Hussle tattoo on her back, and it says "Hustle and Motivate." I'm like, yo, what are the chances, bro? Like, I feel like I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, that was what I always really like. I fucked with Nipsey early, from the jump sample, because just off rip, that was the first time I'm hearing him. It was his first big record, and it had the crisscross jump sample. It was just hard.
I don't even remember
you know
that
what
one.
I mean? And I was just like, yo, this is lit. But and then like as I tuned into him and I like was like tuned into like his journey, like every time he was dropping, he was doing something really dope and motivational, inspirational. And then he got to that $100 mixtape that I think it was 100 or 1,000. I can't remember what the price was.
It was 100.
And Jay bought like 10 of them or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And like just Nipsey's just always been, and I've always been an appreciator of, because I look at Jay as the ultimate inspiration, because Jay, like, that is the way that he's always tried to, right? Like Hov did that, so hopefully you wouldn't have to go through that. I'm just telling my life story, you know, so you can learn from my life story. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like Nipsey was like the most in that vein out of the next generation. So like I could see where like somebody in the city would have a Nipsey Hussle. We were New York was big fans of Nipsey. Like Nipsey did well in New York. Like we were a big market for him and shit.
Yeah, I fucked with Nipsey since that Marathon mixtape 2010. But yeah, so okay, so boom, because I do need to pull it back a little bit because I know this is the important part. The whole time that I'm prepping for the show, I didn't know Lupe was going to be judging. I didn't know he was going to be there. But he gets announced as a judge like the day before. And so, you know, that whole first round and everything, I do that in front of him. But, you know, I'm blindfolded, so I don't know how people are receiving it. I do my second round. My second round, I did like some alphabetical slaughter shit. And then my third round, which was kind of like the round that kind of, I think, cemented it for Lupe and just kind of everybody in the room. What's actually funny is after the second round, I thought I was losing, because I remember I got off stage and it was some dude in the front who was drunk. He was like, yo, that shit was trash. And I was like, damn.
New York, yo, I fucking love, yo, no offense to you, right, bro? But like,
nah, it's all good.
I love that about New York City. Like, that's what, like, I love the fact that this is what we, like, all of us that go through the circuit of New York City and like trying to be like, yo, I rap. Like, we get nothing but like, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
That fucking trash, bro. You're not fucking, who the fuck you think you are? You're not Biggie. You're not fucking bigger. You're not whoever is the local hero. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not whatever, you know, and that I think is that's the ultimate motivator. Without that, there is no, fuel in the gas tank to be like, yo, nah, I'm going to prove you fucking wrong. You're gonna you're gonna regret that. You know, it's the same thing for
Right.
like ball players, right? Like the people that are booing them in the crowd. It's like, word, son.
Yeah.
It's
Fact.
all good.
Fact.
That's why you booing, because I'm fucking your
Yeah.
team up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's motivational. All of us, we
Word.
all need motivation, and in contests, that's the ultimate motivation. You know,
Hell yeah.
he
Getting
says
getting
trash.
humbled a little bit is good. Is good for my competitive spirit. And so that was after my acapella round. Third round comes, it's the freestyle grab bag. And, I'm doing this blindfold. I grab a bag, I head out on stage, and, I do my thing. And, I have a moment. Shout out to Scram Jones, because a DJ who quickly picks up your rhythm and pace and knows when to drop the beat out on your punchlines is golden. And that helped me so much to Scram quickly realize,
Look who you're talking about. Grammy
yeah,
Award
exactly.
winning Scram
Also,
Jones.
me and Scram got the same birthday, November 5th.
Mm.
And so like he quickly picked up on my punchline pattern and he was dropping out the beats every time I hit a punchline, and that was just giving it more energy. And the crowd was, I'm blindfolded freestyling. The crowd is eating this shit up, right? And then I come to a point where I just say, I think this is the moment where I won the night. And I was just like, I'm rapping, and I said, I can't see what's happening, but I hope Lupe's smiling, da 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 da. And I said, Walt Disney was born in 19 something something. You know what that is? The beat drops. That's a Mickey fact, and Mickey Factz was judging, and the whole place went crazy. But it was awesome. I'm blindfolded, so I don't really know how crazy people are really
Yeah.
going.
Nah,
Lupe's
come on,
going
that's
wild.
awesome.
I didn't even. Lupe and Mickey are
Yeah, no,
going
everybody,
crazy. I didn't even know
everybody
about it
had to have
until
told you. Everybody told you. That's
yeah,
how.
yeah,
That's how you know that they went crazy, because many
yeah,
people told you like, "Yo, Lupe and Mickey was wilding."
yeah. Facts. And I see all the videos afterwards. But anyway, so I do that. We ended up doing the whole competition. Everything is done. I ended up being named the winner. I actually didn't think I was going to win until Homeboy Sandman came out later. He was like, yo, bro, you won that shit. I was like, for real? Okay, boom. And so I ended up winning. Lupe was showing wild love. He sent me a DM that night. He was like, yo, man, that was crazy. That was a master class. Da, 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 da. And that was, pretty much that, as far as like the Lupe connection for that inception of it, you know. And it was a great moment, EO Dub just being what EO Dub is and giving Lupe a reason to even be there in the first place. Lupe wasn't there for me. He was
Mm.
there for EO Dub. You know what I mean? Because EO Dub is EO Dub. And then it's like I just happen to be on point at a moment where my favorite rapper of all time happens to see me. And that's one of the most special parts about it for me too. Lupe is my favorite rapper. And in a lot of ways, what I create is a little influenced by him too. You know what I
Mm.
mean? I have a lot of influences and I am also my own artist, but he definitely is an influence. Or we at least like relate in some way, like in how we look at things, which is why I was a fan of him in the first place. And so I think that was just one of those moments where it's just like shit. It was serendipitous as fuck.
I
Yeah.
can empathize. I can empathize, and I appreciate it. Like Lupe is Lupe. My first solo album, I like kind of in my head as an artist was patterning it after the Cool, in the essence of
Mm,
like, this is gonna be overarching story that I'm telling across a few tracks, but not every track, but it's everything is related to the story that I'm telling.
Mm.
Um,
fire. What's the name of your
and
first album?
and Dutch Vega presents the Adventures of Super Spick.
Mm,
And it was this character that I created of me being fucking Super Spick. Like Dutch
okay.
Vega's Clark Kent and Super Spick is Superman. You know what I mean? Except
Okay.
he's fucking Super Spick that
Okay.
does
Yeah.
super spick type things. Um,
Okay.
uh, it's crazy. I ended up having like a track called Super Ghetto Friends, and it was featuring Sarah, Hannah, Jess
Oh, word.
James, Figueroa, Jay Buddhas, and we were the Super Ghetto Friends. Sarah was Wonder Dyke. Jess was the Brow. And
So y'all are hilarious, B.
Buddhist was Captain Kush, and it was featuring Just Days, who anybody who knows Just Days is very bow-legged, and he was Legs Luthor. So
Wow.
we like did battle on a track, and it was fucking fantastic. But this is right, like this is all I wouldn't have, right? Like it's the same thing that you talked about with you saw somebody going the extra length the year that you lost, and that's why you learned from them. I got to go the extra length.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
saw Lupe put out. I heard Lupe put out the Cool, and I'm just like, this is a different way of approaching a concept album. Like instead of it being like almost like a play, which kind of like what a lot of concept albums tended to be, right? Like it was
yeah,
more like focused on the music, but the music was still kind of curated to be relative and related towards the overarching topics of the concept album. But Lupe is a
yeah.
great
Album.
MC, and so like to be like complimented by an MC like of Lupe's caliber, like that's like,
Yeah,
bruh.
I was like, I can retire now, man.
You can't, by the way. That's not the way
it's
it
No, I
works.
don't think you
not. It's
can.
not in the contract. I didn't read the fine print on the contract. My bad.
Super not in the contract. Not allowed.
No, it's dope
All
though.
right, so
But just to like
so
get
you
his.
Mickey and Lupe are in the crowd. They judge you
Yeah,
winner of the
yeah. So yeah, the
competition.
judges were Mickey, Lupe, Poison Pen, and Mozzie. And yeah, they voted me as winner.
Poison
Yeah.
Pen is, you know what I'm saying? Like I've stood, that's my brother, and I've stood there. We've stood there for tons of battles together. He stood there by himself without me before I ever even existed for a
Mm.
tons of battles.